Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Good morning, Shauna. Good morning, Susan. Wonderful to see both of you here today. Hey, Shauna, just for clarification, the wake up call is still going to continue as normal. I'm just not going to be on. I'm just not going to be on social media doing my scrolling and liking and sharing and the things that I would ordinarily do on social media. But the wake up call will still continue as normal every morning, Monday through Friday, or yeah, at 9 a.m. And then the Awesome Saturday service will also happen, except not this Saturday because I'll be volunteering at Carnival. Anyways, yeah, good morning, Tony. Good to see you here today. But I did just want to make it absolutely clear the yeah the wake up call will still continue. That's not going away. I love the wake up call. I love the community that we have here. I love the people here, and so I'm very excited to just continue. Yeah, continue keeping on with the wake up call. That is going to continue. Anyways, Pepper has indeed given us a another card for the morning, and so I'm excited to see which one it is. And yeah, like we do every morning at on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. I'm going to pull the card off the deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. As we do this, we are changing up our own perception of ourselves, which is such an important thing because the way that we perceive ourselves defines the way that we act, the way that we just the feelings that we have. So let's have some fun. Let's pull a card and say that today I am inspired. I am inspired. I act on my creative impulses. So I am inspired. I act on my creative impulses. Are you inspired? You are inspired. You act on your creative impulses. I'm going to write that down in the comments. I encourage you to do the same as I affirm to myself that I am inspired, that I act on my creative impulses. All right, indeed I am. You know, it always inspires me to see the folks gathering for the wake up call in the morning. It always inspires me to listen to the birds chirping in the morning. It always inspires me when I wake up in the morning and I realize that I have another day, another crack at life. And no matter what is happening in life, that I'm going to have opportunities to be creative today. And creativity is my natural state, and it's everybody's natural state, really. We are always creating. We are always perceiving our reality. We're always deciding what that means, and thus we are always creating our emotional state. We are always creating our mental state. And so I am inspired today. I do indeed act on my creative impulses, and you are inspired as well. I'm surrounded by people who are inspired. I'm surrounded by people who have gotten a crazy idea and decided that they were going to make it work, and gotten to live an amazing life as a result. And so let's just take that inspiration through today and through the weekend as we come into a whole new different set of creative possibilities. In the end, we are always creating, we are always working, we are always doing, we are always changing up our mental state in response to whatever it is that's happening around us. And we have the choice as to whether or not we would like to change that mental state to be something good, or whether we'd like to focus on something bad or something that we do not want. And so when we're inspired, I think that's one of the most pure mental states that we can possibly be in, because when we are inspired, we live in the realm of possibility. When we're inspired, we live in that place where anything is possible. And when we are hoping for and planning for and expecting the best things to happen. And so inspiration is indeed a beautiful thing. I was watching an interview with an artist, Anthony Quinn, and Anthony Quinn you might remember him as the actor from Zorba the Greek, but he was also a prolific artist and really did make his living at art. Acting was just one of the many things that he did. I represented his art when I was on Maui, and he sure did have a lot of it. I mean, that guy would work and work and work and work and work. And he was talking one day about creativity. He had an interview, and he said creativity and inspiration are by and large things that come when we set ourselves up for that success. When we just sit in front of our easel every day, inspiration will come when we're sitting in front of our easel, and then we'll get to work and make something incredibly beautiful. He said, and for all the days when that inspiration doesn't come, he says I sit in front of my easel anyways and I create. And that creation is something which always inspires a masterpiece to be able to come out. And so, as we act on our creative impulses, we shouldn't judge our creative impulses as being good or bad. We simply act upon them and just enjoy creativity for the sake of creative, or for the sake of creating, for the sake of being a part of the creative process, entering into that grand procession of life where we do indeed create from the moment that we're born until the moment that we die, where we are creating not just by rearranging the material fabric of reality, but also that we are creating the in our mindsets, in our abilities to in our abilities to continue to make cooler stuff as time goes on. And so I am inspired today. You are inspired as well. And so let's act on our creative impulses. I'm curious to see, what kind of a story that Pepper was telling this week, and so let's go back and take a look at the cards of the week and see where it brought us. Of course, we started the week by affirming that we are ambitious, that our vision inspires courageous growth. It doesn't just inspire courageous growth in us; it also inspires courageous growth in others, and that our vision inspires us to grow in ways and in directions that perhaps we otherwise wouldn't have considered, because as we actually move in the direction of our dreams, that's when we recognize that there are gaps in our skill sets, there are gaps in our knowledge, there are things that we hadn't considered before. There are, and there always are. There always are these sorts of things. And so we started the week by affirming that we are ambitious. Of course, we transitioned over into the fact that we are bold, that we recognize opportunity and move decisively. Once we decide that we are going to allow ambitions to be one of our core values, it makes us bold. It allows us to recognize that opportunity that perhaps was always in front of us and we just didn't see it before. Or perhaps it was something that popped into our world and we said, okay, well, we're bold enough to take advantage of this. We're bold enough to move decisively when we see that this thing is something that could be very, very valuable in our world. Ultimately, that boldness is something that is multiplied by the fact that we are disciplined, that we exercise control for our betterment. I find that my life is always best when I exercise control over it, when I decide intentionally what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And also that my life is incredibly bad when I don't exercise that control, when I'm like, oh, well, the world is happening to me. And in Costa Rica, they have a word for it. Pobrecito, poor little guy, is essentially what that means. But basically, it's the idea of, oh, the life is happening to you, you poor besotted non individual, and you have no control over it whatsoever. And so just, you have the right to wallow in self pity and to wallow in negative feelings and negative emotions, and don't even attempt to exercise control because cruel fates have conspired against you. And of course, when we're believing that, which is a lie, but when we are believing that, then it gives us it removes that sense of agency that we have, and forces us to focus on the fact that we can't control anything, and that life itself is just fully against us. And of course, if we believe this, then it will never actually be for our betterment. And so that discipline, that mental discipline of being like, okay, well, whether I like what's happening or I don't like what's happening, I can still have and retain control over myself. that is a tremendous, tremendous boon to us. We continued with the card that we are industrious, that we dedicate our time and our resources effectively. And so once we are disciplined, then it allows us to dedicate our time and resources effectively. When we are industrious, or when we are disciplined, it permits industry to happen. It yesterday I spent some time, and um, I spent some time to organize a lot of the brain spaghetti that had been floating around in my head. And I feel like I got a lot done yesterday. And then I'm looking at my plan for today and it makes sense. And so I feel like my time and resources are more effectively dedicated today than they were at the beginning of the week. And so I'm happy for the I am industrious card and the you are industrious card for getting us over there. And then, of course, we finally takes us to the card for today, which is that we are inspired and we act on our creative impulses. So today, when you feel the impulse to create something, create something. When you feel the impulse to do something and to make something cool happen and to 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 make your world a better place, then do that. And do that with faith. Inspiration requires faith because we don't know what the outcome is going to be like. But one of the I think one of the ironic parts about inspiration is that the one and only thing that we do know about our creative output is that it's never going to make us satisfied because we will always have envisioned it perfectly in our head and not executed it perfectly in our world. And so it's very important as we are inspired to be gentle with ourselves and recognize that just acting on the creative impulse is what satisfies the creative impulse. And satisfying the creative impulse is a very powerful thing. All of this leads us up to the Saturday card, which is that we are awesome. And so let's celebrate our inherent value and worth. Let's celebrate the fact that are worthy and deserving of being on this planet. And the evidence that we are worthy and deserving of it is the fact that we are here, is the fact that we have is the fact that we are, well, here and now, and that we have the ability to manifest some change. And so let's recognize that we are awesome and celebrate our inherent value and worth. And just another quick reminder, I'm not going to be doing an awesome Saturday service tomorrow. We'll be returned next week, but tomorrow I'll be doing some carnival volunteering. I am, as always, inspired to help out with the big events that happen around here, carnival being one of them. All right, my beautiful friends, I love you. I care about you. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning again to Susan and Shauna and Tony. Good to see you here today. Good morning, Josiah. Wonderful to see you also. And yeah, I will talk to you guys again on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, I love you. I care about you. I believe that you are inspired people, and I believe that your inspirations today are wonderful and beautiful things to act upon. So I'll talk to y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.